Okay, today's video is about one of my favorite writers, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. So, a little bit about the writer before we jump into an understanding of her background. So, Chimamanda was born in Enugu, Nigeria in 1977. She grew up on the campus of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, where her father was a professor and her mother was the first female registrar. So, she's published multiple books, and my favorite book by her is actually one of her nonfiction books called Notes on Grief. And I have to read more of her fiction, but I've also listened to her talk on TED, and it's one of my favorite TED talks ever, where she speaks about how there are so many stories that inhabit the world, and it's important to look at the world from the perspective of these multiple stories. So, so that's her profession. She's an author and activist, and she's regarded as a central figure in post-colonial feminist literature. She's the author of the novels Purple Hibiscus, Half of a Yellow Sun, and Americana. So her parents are of Igbo origin. So her father was a mathematics professor, and he moved with his wife to Berkeley to complete his PhD at the University of California. Adichie's mother began her university studies in 1964 and earned a degree in sociology and anthropology from the University of Nigeria in Nsukka. So Adichie began her formal education in Igbo and English, and she completed her secondary education on the University of Nigeria campus secondary school. So for her university, and I think for writers, we often don't completely appreciate the importance of this, but it's very important for writers to also go through an extended training period. So she studied medicine for a year and a half, after which she moved to the US to study communications at Drexel University in Philadelphia. She then transferred to Eastern Connecticut State University and received her bachelor's degree with a major in political science and a minor in communications in 2001. She then decided to pursue a master's degree in creative writing from Johns Hopkins, and then she began studying at Yale University and completed a second master's degree in African Studies in 2008. So she's received 3 degrees and she's highly educated. And her area of focus was African studies, creative writing, communications, and political science. Now, she's published several books. Her debut novel was Purple Hibiscus in 2003, that follows a young girl's coming of age amid political and familial oppression in Nigeria. Her next book, Half of a Yellow Sun, portrays the Biafran War through the lives of 3 intertwined characters. And then she wrote a short story collection called The Thing Around Your Neck about the Nigerian and diasporic experiences. In Americana, Adichie examines race, immigration, and love through the journey of a Nigerian woman in the US and UK. So I think what's interesting about her is her extended journey to develop a strong grounding in several disciplines, as you can see: political science, creative writing, African studies. And she's also very rooted in her own culture because her parents were professors and she grew up in Nigeria and learned Igbo, but primarily writes in English. So I think because she grew up in both worlds, I think she has an interesting vantage point of writing and talking about those experiences. But as an educator, I'm just curious about this extended learning journey that she had where she acquired so many degrees. Thank you for listening to this video, and until next time, keep learning.